Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're watching. It is 2:34 Eastern Standard Time. Apologies for a short delay as we get the stream underway on this Friday, October 3rd, 2025. We are almost one full year into the Trump presidency. What a nightmare it has been so far, but I'm going to guide you through this. We have a lot to talk about as I didn't go live for most of this week, so a lot to catch up on. A lot is happening today on a Friday of all days in the week because you know the Trump administration loves to hammer us with news right before the weekend and then disappear as Trump plans to go golf all weekend as per usual. Right now, I'm going to let everybody know that the live is live. That way people know where to find us, where to join. But if you're here already, welcome. Thank you for being here on time. Thank you for being here right at the start of the show. This is a very exciting show we have today because obviously we have to talk about Pete Hegseth bombing Venezuelan boats. Are we basically at war with Venezuela at this point? I'd say so. What about the fact that Israel has intercepted the Gaza flotilla? American citizens are aboard and they're currently being held illegally in Israel, waiting for their lawyers to help them. And no American politicians seem to be coming to their aid. There's been silence from even the Democrats, which is not surprising because 99% of them are completely compromised by the Israeli lobby. Right now, everybody should know that Caroline Leavitt just finished speaking. We're going to provide you her coverage and talk about all the nonsense of the day coming from that administration. Why do they continue lying to the American people about the government shutdown? Is it because they want you to think that Democrats are giving health care to illegal aliens? That's precisely the reason. Will Democrats cave? Will Democrats once again bend the knee to authoritarianism? Let Donald Trump kick millions of Americans off their health insurance? Who is to say? But we've seen that before. And right now, everybody should be able to join. And let me know in the chat where you're watching from. Please do me a favor, make sure you are liking the video by clicking the like button. Make sure you're subscribed to my channel so you never miss a video. Subscribing is free, but it helps my channel grow. It helps get the word out about what we're doing here, and it helps you stay up to date. If you want to support me directly, you can do so via buymeacoffee.com. That is linked in the description of this video. Actually, let me make sure it is, but beyond that, my other social media channels will be linked. Yep, I see that it is linked in the description of this video. You can also send a super chat on YouTube and you can become a paid subscriber where I'm going to be launching a lot of really awesome benefits as paid subscribers is a new feature that I can do on YouTube. So I'll be able to have cool behind the scenes coverage for you all, really awesome perks, and you'll be one of the progressive patriots that support my work the most and somebody that can be part of our inner team. Thank you for being here as we notice a lot of people are starting to trickle in. I just threw something on my Instagram story. Usually when I post that, that's when everybody knows to watch. Let me make sure that posted okay. Yep, people are coming. People are definitely trickling in. I just posted the full announcement to the live. Hey, if this is your first time watching, let me know. If you've been here before, look forward to hearing from you in the chat as we get underway here this Friday. I'm going to take the live onto TikTok now so people have another way of finding us, another way of tuning in. That's always good. Okay. We'll be taking that live now as well. Fantastic. Fantastic. Awesome. Make sure a few more people have the link too, because I know right now without a schedule to the show, it's not ideal for some people who don't know when the show is going to go live. I'm planning on announcing a schedule this month. So from now on, you'll know I'll be live certain days of the week. I'm thinking it's going to be something like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but we shall see. And then if news is breaking, I will just go live regardless, even if it's not a scheduled day. Most of the time, I will try to make that happen for you as well. Right now, everybody's going to get the link. Everybody should be able to tune in with us. and we are underway. Awesome. Awesome. Wow. Tons of people joining already. Thank you for being here. Thank you for tuning in on a Friday. I know on the weekend, a lot of people just want to enjoy themselves. There's a lot going on, but we are different than MAGA. Our job is to stay informed. Our job is to spread the truth. MAGA, they're drinking beers right now. They're posting racist stuff online. They're just being absolute nuisances to the world. We're informed, enlightened citizens of America. Yeah, am I going to drink beer tonight? Sure. Am I going to go out and party this weekend? Absolutely. But I'm going to do so knowing that I did what I could this week to help uplift the people in this country who are struggling right now, including myself. You know, I'm a young person in this country trying to get by. Aren't we all at this point? I mean, everything is so unaffordable. The Trump administration promised to make housing more affordable. They promised to make healthcare more affordable. What's happening in reality? They're taking healthcare away from millions of Americans. There's been no housing plan. There's no plan to make groceries more affordable. In fact, tariffs are doing quite the opposite. So everything is kind of going according to the way that I predicted. And a lot of people still believe that it's going to turn around. That is not the case, unfortunately. That is not the case at all. So everybody should have the live link. We'll give another minute of people to trickle in. I just heard the cat. The cat is trying to eat something right now. Silly cat. Make sure that everybody can join the show. And we are underway. We are live right now. Hey, everybody watching on TikTok too, by the way, come join on YouTube. Link is in my bio on TikTok, or just search Josh the Progressive, and you'll be able to find us on YouTube. Great. Well, without further ado, let's pull up Caroline Levitt. Actually, first, I want to bring up Hakeem Jeffries, who just spoke.
Years ago.
You know, I've got problems with Hakeem Jeffries, but right now he is trying to stop the government from taking healthcare away from millions of Americans. Let's hear from House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries.
It wasn't considered essential.
No, I guess the sign was considered essential.
Yeah, but not the
That's the way it goes.
We get to when Hakeem comes out.
Conflict
Oh, here we go.
of the Trump.
Here he is. Also, let me know if at any point anybody has trouble hearing anything. If you're on TikTok, come watch on YouTube. I've got the feed pulled up of the broadcast right here.
Everyone. It's day 3 of the Trump Republican government shutdown and day 257 of the chaos that Donald Trump has been inflicting on the American people since the very beginning of his presidency. We're in the midst of a government shutdown that has been caused by Donald Trump and Republicans to inflict further pain on the American people. The government is shut down right now because Donald Trump and Republicans refuse to provide health care to working class Americans. Throughout this week, Donald Trump has been missing in action. He remains in the Presidential Witness Protection Program. House Republicans are on vacation all across the country and the world, and Senate Republicans continue to vote on the same partisan Republican spending bill that's dead on arrival because it guts the health care of the American people.
Interesting,
Donald
Jordan.
Trump and the Republicans are not behaving responsibly. They're not behaving in a serious manner. They don't want to reopen the government, and they certainly do not want to address the health care crisis that Republicans have created throughout this year. including as it relates to their one big ugly bill that hurts everyday Americans in order to reward their billionaire donors. Democrats made clear, including at the White House meeting on Monday, that healthcare premiums, copays, and deductibles were about to skyrocket for tens of millions of Americans all across the country in an environment where the cost of living in this country is already too high. Donald Trump has already made life more expensive because of his tariffs and failed Republican policies. But that cost of living crisis is about to get worse, particularly as it relates to healthcare costs. Here are just 3 examples as it relates to the types of skyrocketing healthcare costs that everyday Americans are about to confront. In the Commonwealth of Virginia, by way of example, just one plan. Currently, this healthcare plan costs an everyday American, a working class American.
By the way, for anyone who says, oh, the Democrats, they want to give health care to illegal aliens. The Democrats don't even want to give Democrats free health care, okay? All we're talking about is making sure that Obamacare subsidies aren't expiring, which is important. That's important. You know, the Affordable Care Act was a step further towards free health care, which so many other nations around the world have done successfully. Oh, well, my taxes are going to go up. I'm going to have to pay more in taxes to pay for healthcare for other people that can't afford it. Wrong. You're already paying for it. You're already paying more money by paying for your privatized health insurance. Okay? So all we're trying to do is save you some money and make sure that you have life-saving care that you need. You don't have to pay into a business model to make sure that your life isn't going to make you bankrupt.
$595.94 a month. But because Republicans refuse to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credit, that same plan is going to go up to $1,890 per month. How is that possible for working families to afford? That's in Virginia. In Idaho, Silver Plan currently available for $611 per month. But it's now public information that because of the Republican refusal to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits, that same plan, currently $611 per month, will go up to $2,083 a month in an environment where America is already too expensive, where the cost of living is already too high, where the Trump tariffs are already.
That's absurd. Who could afford that? $2,000 a month for health insurance? That is unbelievable. Imagine doing that on top of rent, right? Most people are already paying that amount of money in rent. And then you've got your car payments, your student loans, your car insurance, probably your phone bill, your internet bill, your utilities, right? So you're working all week long. You have everything you've earned going towards all these things that Republicans want you to pay for. And then in the end, you have very little take-home money, and you got to pay taxes next year.
Imposing thousands of dollars per year of additional costs. And now, healthcare costs is about to skyrocket out of control. One final example. In Georgia.
If this all happens, the country is literally going to collapse. Like, people who are working aren't going to be able to afford anything. They're going to stop paying for things. People might even just stop working because they'll think, what's the point of working? I'm working 50, 60 hours a week. I can't make any more money. And my boss can't afford to pay me anymore because my boss also can't afford to get by. And their boss also can't afford to get by, but it's the bosses at the top that are totally fine.
The heart of Dixie in the Deep South. current silver HMO plan from Kaiser Permanente, currently it costs $699 per month. But because of the Republican refusal to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits, that same plan, currently $699 per month, is about to skyrocket to $2,763 a month.
If this all goes according to plan, though, this could be the biggest opportunity for Democrats to actually run on something exciting. Like, hey, we're going to make healthcare universal for everybody. You can still have private insurance if you want it, but we are going to make sure that everybody has access to being insured by being taxpayer Americans. And that would be a message that would win in 2026 and 2028, because all of these Republicans are about to lose their health insurance, or they're about to find their health insurance to be unaffordable. And this could be the opportunity for Democrats to remind people, hey, we can help the working class. We can be a working class party. Or do the Democrats want to continue moving to the right because they're worried that if they become too far left, they're going to scare off these moderate voters? Wrong, wrong. You're going to pick up voters who are so frustrated and tired and poor, and they thought Donald Trump was going to help make things more affordable for them, like healthcare. But when they find out the opposite has happened, you can come to their rescue. You can actually deliver results for people and actually represent the people that you claim to care about. We know there are some Democrats in the caucus that want to do this. We know AOC, for example, she is going to help champion universal health care. Bernie Sanders, this is something he's been preaching for well beyond my lifetime. And yet, we don't hear it from top Democratic leadership. We just hear that they want to protect what exists, but they don't want to expand things any more than that because they're worried about scaring off their donors as well.
This is going to cause medical bankruptcy for some, and millions of others will be unable to afford the health care that they need for themselves, their children, and their families. This is why we need to deal with the Republican healthcare crisis right now, because the crisis is having real impact on working class Americans right now. And the notion that there's time to wait. Think about this. That Republicans spent all year focused on their one big ugly bill so they can permanently extend massive tax breaks for the wealthy, the well-off, and the well-connected for their billionaire donors in order to subsidize the lifestyles of the rich and shameless. That's what they've done all year. And these tax breaks for the wealthy and the well-off, they were scheduled to expire on December 31st. But they spent months obsessed with rewarding their billionaire donors with massive tax breaks, but now claim that the Affordable Care Act tax credits, which expire at the same time as those tax breaks for their wealthy friends, no, they can't be bothered. They can't be bothered with extending them right now. Why is this? Because Republicans just want to gut health care for the American people. And Democrats will continue to stand on the side of the American people, fight for their health care, and improve their quality of life. Questions?
Majority Leader Greene and Speaker Johnson have said that they are willing to negotiate on the ACA tax credits, but only if the government is reopened. Is it that Democrats don't trust that they would negotiate in good faith without the leverage of a government shutdown?
Tyler, I'm sorry to hear that, man. Everyone can see Tyler's comment. He says, I live with my parents because I'm scared to move and I have something happen to my dad. Has 3 heart attacks and can't work. My mom can't work. This increase in healthcare insurance is screwing people over. Tyler, you're exactly right. And remember, before Obamacare, people couldn't even get insurance if they had pre-existing conditions because health insurance companies didn't want to actually invest in the business of saving people's lives. If they saw that someone elderly already had a heart attack or they already had diabetes or something, they weren't even going to take them as a client because they knew it was going to be more expensive for their health insurance company. Their thought is, why would we choose to insure somebody that is going to have all these costs that is actually going to save them money. Our business model as health insurance companies is you pay thousands of dollars into our company and never actually need us or never get to use us. Obamacare changed that. Obamacare made sure that people had the right to be insured. And now Republicans are trying to cut those subsidies. They're trying to make it so that people just have to pay more money like they did way before.
Well, we don't view a government shutdown as leverage. Republicans have shut the government down. Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the presidency. They've shut the government down. Now, of course, we've made clear we will work in a bipartisan way with our Republican colleagues, try to find a path forward, reopen the government, and reach a spending agreement, but it has to meet the needs of the American people. If we're going to vote affirmatively on a spending bill, I think the American people understand it's reasonable for us to make the point that that spending bill should actually improve the lives of the American people, particularly as it relates to dealing with the Republican healthcare crisis that is present right now. And why would we believe that Republicans have any interest in addressing the Affordable Care Act based on their word? When for 15 years, Republicans have been doing everything possible to gut the Affordable Care Act, to repeal and displace people off the Affordable Care Act. And Democrats have pushed back aggressively against them, and thankfully, several years ago, with the courageous support of then Senator John McCain, we stopped the Trump Republican effort.
Does that mean Democrats should hold out for a deal that's down on paper rather than one that's promised?
It means that we need an ironclad legislative agreement to address the health care issues that we have raised, including the Affordable Care Act.
Unfortunately, I see the way this is going to play out. You know, Democrats eventually are going to cave. They really don't have much leverage in the situation, and Republicans really are winning the PR battle. They're making it seem like it's the Democrats who are shutting down the government. The Democrats are trying to give health care to illegals. Hakeem is trying his best here, but we need more bold Democratic leaders flooding the zone, like talking everywhere on every single network, you know, holding a sit-in, doing something to actually drive attention away from the propaganda and the nonsense messaging that we're about to watch in Caroline Leavitt's press conference. I'm going to pull that up after this. We need Democrats to actually take back control of the narrative in this country, and this is such an opportunity for them to do that. And even, you know, Speaker Jeffries is not a great speaker, right? Just not getting the message across in a way that's clear. That's what I'm trying to do for everybody here. I'm trying to take what they're saying and make it digestible for you, but let's listen to see if he improves.
Thank you. I know there's a lot of messaging going on both sides of the aisle, even inside your party. Ocasio-Cortez and Bernie Sanders, they had their feed. They seem to be getting a lot of attention here. There was a lot of criticism of the official Democratic feed, glitches and everything else. To what do you attribute what Ocasio-Cortez and Sanders are doing compared to what you guys were doing and the criticism that was leveled?
Interesting question. You can tell he's stuttering already. He's asking, what do you feel about the fact that Bernie Sanders and AOC are criticizing you and basically saying that your moderate wing of the party is ruining the country?
I have no idea what that question actually is intended to mean. Like, Democrats have been all over the country engaging in every possible way, communicating with the American people that we're privileged to represent as it relates to the stakes of this fight. And our position, from the most progressive member all the way through to our most moderate members, has been consistently clear. Cancel the cuts, lower the costs, save health care. And everybody's on board because we all share those values. And we continue to be in a more is more environment. So I think that observation seems to be the silliest thing possible when we're fighting to defend the health care of the American people. And by the way,
He doesn't like the fact that he's being outflanked by members of his own party. He doesn't like the fact that he continues being blamed for being a moderate Democrat at best. Mind you, people need to remember this. Hakeem Jeffries endorsed Charlie Kirk before he endorsed Zohran Mamdani. Zohran Mamdani is about to be mayor in New York City. And yes, he's just mayor, but this is the biggest city in the country, and this has become a national story. Hakeem Jeffries, yes, he is the minority leader of the House of Representatives, but he represents New York. That's his district, right? And he has failed to even endorse the Democrat who is about to be mayor in the city, but at the same time, recently signed onto a piece of legislation that recognizes Charlie Kirk as an American hero, a courageous American hero who sought to seek truth. So I think it was something like he sought to spread truth. So Hakeem Jeffries says Charlie Kirk's a hero who told the truth. Mamdani, too leftist. That's the leadership of the Democratic Party. That's how you know they're not prepared to meet the moment. That's how you know they actually don't mind a lot of what Trump is doing. They're weak. They're feckless. And that's on display here.
anybody who understands what a more is more environment means is that you create content that can then be distributed by members to their constituents, and that's what members continue to do. Speak authentically to the people that they're privileged to represent.
There are some reports floating around that Speaker Johnson might not bring the chamber back next week. What guidance have you gotten about next week's House schedule, and are you concerned about this further delaying the swearing in of Congressman-elect Adelita Grijalva?
House Republicans continue to be on vacation, spread out across the country and the world, and this makes no sense. It's Exhibit A for the fact that House Republicans wanted to shut the government down and have no interest in reopening it because they don't want to provide health care to everyday Americans.
Have you spoken to Speaker Johnson about the timing of swearing in of Adelita Grijalva, and if so, what did he say?
It's our expectation that Representative-elect Adelita Grijalva will be sworn in as soon as the House is back in session next Tuesday. Thanks. Yeah.
Congressman Khanna,
That's an interesting point, by the way. He's talking about the Democrat Adelita Grijalva, who just won the special election in Arizona. That would give Democrats 218 votes to force a release of the Epstein files, which is the absolute fear of Speaker Johnson, Donald Trump, etc., because they're all incriminated in that. They all know Donald Trump is a key criminal in that investigation. And so, unlike every other representative that Speaker Johnson swears in the day after they're elected, he's delayed her confirmation by almost 2 weeks now. 2 weeks. Wow. So this is not only the MAGA shutdown, but really this is the Epstein shutdown because they're trying to prevent her from being sworn in for as long as possible. Maybe they're trying to clean up the files, get rid of Trump's name.
did at Standing Lawyer about receiving APEC money, calling for him to step aside. Do you have any comments on the sentiment that he put out and APEC's response?
I haven't seen that particular social media post, so I'd have to talk to Congressman Khanna about it. But what I will say is that Steny Hoyer has been a tremendous public servant throughout the duration of his career, and there's a reason why his constituents continue to elect him. It's my expectation that that will continue. Thanks. You got it. Yeah.
Thank you, Jeffries. The White House has said that it's preparing for mass layoffs all throughout the government, and then President Trump himself posted a video of Russ Vought being depicted as the Grand Reaper. Do you have a response to the cuts that might be impending given the ongoing shutdown?
Well, Donald Trump and Republicans have shut the government down as part of their ongoing effort to inflict pain and suffering on the American people. This is day 3 of the Trump shutdown, but it's day 257 of the chaos that Donald Trump and his administration and Republicans have been inflicting on the American people, including mass firings that they've already done outside of a government shutdown. This is who they are. Cruelty is the point when it comes to Trump policies. And his administration and Republican control of the House and the Senate has been a complete and total failure. And the American people know it. The overwhelming majority of the American people have already come to the conclusion that the country is moving in the wrong direction, that costs are too high, that the Trump tariffs have been a failure, that Republicans have broken our healthcare system, that the flood of extremism that has been unleashed on the American people, on black and brown communities, on law-abiding immigrant families, on the rule of law, on the American way of life itself, is out of control. And that Donald Trump and Republicans have failed to keep their core promise, which is to make life better and more affordable for the American people. Costs haven't gone down, they're going up. And healthcare costs are about to skyrocket because of the Republican refusal to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits or address the healthcare crisis that they've created.
Last night, the president also posted a video of an artificial intelligence generated video of you.
This guy's a joke, honestly.
How do you have a response just to the videos and comments that he's been making on social media about you and Leader Jeffries? And how do you believe that may impact your ability to negotiate with them?
Well, Donald Trump has behaved in a deeply unserious and deeply unhinged manner. And it's evidence of the fact that Republicans have a weak argument. So they've resorted to deep fake videos and to lying about the nature of the policy discussion. They've refused to bring House Republicans back to Washington, D.C. It's all evidence of the fact that Republicans are unserious. They know that Democrats are standing on the side of the American people by fighting to defend their health care, defend hospitals and nursing homes and community-based health centers that are closing all across America because of the Republican action taken in their one big ugly bill. They're on defense because they know that they enacted the largest cut to Medicaid in American history. They're on defense because Republicans know that as a result of their actions, the country is about to face a $536 billion cut to Medicare at the end of the year if Congress doesn't act. They're on defense because they know the Affordable Care Act tax credits are popular with the American people because the American people know that we should be standing on the side of working class Americans. That's what Democrats are doing.
Okay, then stand on the side of working class Americans. Make healthcare free. That should be the message. The message moving forward is when we take back the House in the 2026 midterms, we will make healthcare free for you. That should be the message.
As opposed to Republicans always being on the side of the wealthy, the well-off, and the well-connected.
Anybody who tells you, by the way, oh, we can't afford free healthcare. Mind you, we spent over $16 trillion on a war on terror for 20 plus years in Afghanistan that got us absolutely nowhere, that did nothing, right? We have money to blow up hundreds of thousands of Middle Eastern children. We have money for healthcare, okay? That's just what the government doesn't want you to realize.
You've taken a hardline stance on these Affordable Care Act tax subsidies. It impacts roughly 20 million people, which is 5 to 6% of the population. Is it really worth burdening the rest of the country, the rest of the 95% of the country, with the government shutdown over something that impacts only 5 to 6%?
We've made this healthcare fight about all of the things, all of the people. And by the way, just to be clear, everyone is about to experience dramatically increased premiums, copays, and deductibles because of the Republican healthcare crisis. Everyone in America. And as that happens, they'll know that this is a result of Donald Trump and failed Republican policies who have launched the largest assault on healthcare in American history. It's a Republican assault on the healthcare of rural America, urban America, small town America, the heartland of America, and black and brown communities all across America. It's an unprecedented Republican assault on healthcare and tax subsidies and tax credits that Republicans are unwilling to renew in states like Virginia, a purple state, in states like Idaho and Georgia. These are red states. So is your question, we shouldn't be fighting for the people of Georgia and Idaho who are about to experience dramatically increased healthcare costs? Is that not a good fight for us to wage? We're standing up for Republican constituents because Republicans won't stand up for their own constituents.
That's the irony, right? That is the irony. Listen, MAGA, they're literally ripping healthcare away from their own voters, and yet the voters think it's the Democrats who are doing that. That's how you know it's a cult, and that's how you know that MAGA, they're absolutely dominating the social media space, the mainstream media space. They have everybody under mind control. It's like if you've seen the SpongeBob movie, maybe not everyone's seen it, but Plankton has everybody wearing chum bucket helmets, and people are like robots. They're really following Donald Trump until he takes us all down with the ship.
Constituents. But this is everyone in America. Everyone in America is suffering because of the cost of living crisis caused by Donald Trump's failed policies, and everyone in America is suffering from the Republican healthcare crisis.
They said they're willing to negotiate
Everyone.
when it reopens.
Thank you, Leader. Congressman Ralph Norman has filed legislation to abolish paychecks for members of Congress during a government shutdown with no payback. Seeing as tens of thousands of Americans will now go without pay for the foreseeable future as a result of the government shutting down, would you agree that members of Congress should also go without pay? Is that something you support?
Yeah, I haven't had a conversation with Ralph Norman or seen that legislation. Thanks.
Thank you, Leader Jeffries. To your other question on Republicans possibly not coming back to the House next week, if they don't, would you still bring House Democrats back into town, similar to what you did this week?
Yes.
Thank you. Some Republicans are saying that they will
By the way, to the 54 people watching on TikTok live, I'm going to be
Here's the problem with
concluding the TikTok broadcast momentarily. If you want to continue watching, come to YouTube. You simply just have to search Josh the Progressive on YouTube. You'll find my channel. You'll be able to click on the live broadcast, or you can just go to the link in my bio on TikTok. Come watch on YouTube because you'll actually be able to see the broadcast. And let me know when you get to YouTube in the YouTube chat that you came from TikTok, so I know you made it successfully. And then you can subscribe on YouTube, like the video, and continue watching from there. So just a few more minutes on TikTok, but I will be ending the TikTok live broadcast for a little while. Maybe we'll bring it back up later, but this is your opportunity to come to YouTube before you miss the real heart of the show. We're about to pull up Caroline Leavitt and talk about her press conference today. What a disgrace that was. Another show of treason by this Trump administration. They're trying to literally betray the American people. We'll bring that up next, so come join on YouTube. Let's finish hearing from Speaker Jeffries.
Republicans. They continue to try to jam their extreme right-wing ideology down the throats of the American people. When will they learn their lesson? I mean, this is about the health care of everyday Americans. They continue to try to confuse the issue. We're fighting for hard-working American taxpayers to make sure that working-class Americans don't continue to suffer from the Republican healthcare crisis. And now Republicans want to inject other issues. These aren't serious individuals. They want to keep the government shut down. They shut it down, and now they want to keep it shut down. And the American people know it.
Leader Jeffries, could you elaborate on what you meant by when you said the president was in the Presidential Witness Protection Program?
Donald Trump continues to hide behind deep fake videos since the meeting in the Oval Office on Monday. And it's reasonable for the American people to wonder what's going on. Why is there no presidential leadership? Vice President Vance offered to come up to Capitol Hill. I've been here.
Vice President Vance is moonwalking his way into the presidency if we don't stop him. I mean, this guy is like on track to do it. And for everybody who says, oh, he's not charismatic, he's not popular, he is very popular among Republicans. That is something that is underreported. I don't think people really understand how popular J.D. Vance is. He is enormously popular among their base. He doesn't command the same level of cult-like personality the way Trump does, but what he does do is he packages Project 2025 extremism into a way that is more palatable. It's more digestible for the American people. He makes things seem normal for their side, and that's why people like him. They think, oh, he's such a good speaker. He is a threat to our democracy if we still have one by that point.
Here all week. We've heard nothing. Radio silence from the White House, radio silence from House Republicans, and radio silence from Senate Republicans because they're not serious. They wanted to shut the government down. They want to inflict pain on the American people. They want to continue the chaos that has been unleashed from the very beginning. They don't want to do anything about the cost of living crisis that Republicans have created, making life more expensive, groceries more expensive, housing costs more expensive, electricity bills skyrocketing and through the roof all across America. And now, because of Republican inaction and the cruelty of their policies connected to the healthcare crisis that they've created, premiums, copays, and deductibles are about to skyrocket as well. This is the consequence of complete control of government in Washington, D.C. by Republicans. And the American people, everyday Americans, are suffering. And the only group of people benefiting from Republican policies right now are their billionaire donors. Thank you.
All right, stay right here, folks. We're going to bring Caroline Levitt up in just a moment. Just going to grab a drink real quick. Make sure you share this video with a friend so more people are aware. We're about to bring up Caroline.
That's lost its moral nerve. A civilization that is too racked by guilt to punish its criminals, to enforce its laws, or to confront its enemies.
Okay. Hey, to everyone watching on TikTok, dozens of you there. Right now, I'm going to end the TikTok broadcast, but we're going to be watching Caroline Levitt's press conference on YouTube. So this is your final warning. Come watch on YouTube. A lot of people already came over from TikTok, so let me know in the YouTube chat that you made it. Just search Josh the Progressive or go to the link in my bio here on TikTok. You'll find it. You can watch on your phone, tablet, computer, etc. Come watch on YouTube. We'll see you there. Thanks for watching on TikTok, everybody. And everybody on YouTube, the show is really just beginning. We have a lot to get into right now as we are going to bring up Caroline Levitt, the disgraced white supremacist who is currently operating as the press secretary of the United States. She had another disastrous press conference today, a shorter one, but nonetheless effective in trying to destroy the fabric of our society. Let's see what this lady had to say today.
Good afternoon, everyone. We are now in day 3 of the Democrat-led government shutdown.
Democrat-led government shutdown. AKA the Democrats are giving healthcare to illegals, AKA we, the MAGA cult, are actually ripping your healthcare away, and we're going to blame everything on the Democrats, woke, transgender, immigrants, DEI, because we have no actual platform to help you. We are just a white Christian nationalist party trying to destroy the country. Please continue, Caroline. I'm sure you're going to get into some of that.
The Democrats continue to recklessly hold the American people hostage over their demands to give illegal aliens free health care.
Folks, I said this at the top of the show. I'll say it again. I'm going to continue saying it throughout the broadcast. There's a clear reason why the Democrats are not giving health care to illegal aliens. Because they're not even giving health care to Democrats, right? This is a party we're talking about that barely cares about your healthcare needs regardless. So what makes you think they're giving healthcare to non-citizens? Only in emergency scenarios do people who are undocumented get healthcare access, right? And a lot of that comes down to state legislation, what states decide. The party of states' rights, what the Republican Party used to be, doesn't really care about states' rights anymore. They seem to think that the federal government is giving all this health care to illegals. You're the federal government. You currently control the executive branch. You control the House and the Senate. So how can you say that there's health care being given to illegal aliens when you're in charge of everything and you know what's being spent on, who's getting health care, etc.? It's a bold-faced lie.
Republicans are fully unified behind passing nonpartisan clean funding bill, the exact same bill that Democrats approved back in March to reopen the federal government. But those same Senate Democrats are now voting against this clean funding bill and keeping the people's government closed. I understand Democrats will have an opportunity very shortly here to change course, and we hope that they will. There are significant personal impacts on millions of Americans as a result of this current government shutdown. The 1.3 million men and women of America's Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, Coast Guard, and Space Force who serve honorably and put their lives on the line to defend us all are not being paid.
That's rich to hear Caroline Leavitt pretend to care about our service members when we just had Pete Hegseth get all the generals in the country into one unsecured location, which was super dangerous, for something that could have been sent out in an email. His whole speech about how I hate women and women shouldn't be in the military unless they can do pull-ups like a man, and you can't have beards, which is actually just racism targeting black people, because a lot of black men like to have facial hair because there's, I don't know the exact condition, but there's some type of skin condition like razor bumps that is the reason why a lot of black men decide to have beards. It helps, conceal their skin, and rightfully so. But Pete Hegseth, what other reason does he have to say that you can't have a beard in the military other than to be racist towards black people? He said that we can't have any more fat generals, even though Donald Trump is a fat, disgusting pig. And by the way, I'm not fat shaming here. I don't really care. My point is this: there's a dramatic irony in Pete Hegseth calling out the health of our country's generals when the president himself is a sick old man who is currently dying from the inside at an accelerating rate, mind you. He's looking more ill day by day and is clearly not mentally well. That is for sure. So all that is happening, and then you have the fact that American Marines are being sent to Venezuela to start a new war, and American citizens are currently being held by Israel while we continue sending them billions of dollars. What a disgrace. What a disgraceful comment from Caroline.
Military families are already seeking out food assistance because of financial anxiety caused by this Democrat shutdown. According to new reporting from the Military Times, staff members at the Armed Services YMCA food pantry distribution location near Fort Hood in Texas found a line of military families stretched around the side of the building yesterday at 5 in the morning. According to the staff who work there, that is, quote, not happened ever. They've already had a 34% increase this week over past for our military families with the resources they need to thrive. If Democrats believe in this very simple premise too, they should end this shutdown immediately. Unfortunately, the severe impacts of the Democrat shutdown extend beyond our troops. Nearly 7 million mothers, infants, and low-income families who rely on government-run food assistance will be in jeopardy if the WIC program runs out of money in the weeks ahead. The more than 13,000 air traffic controllers who ensure that Americans fly safely in airports across the country are currently working without pay. The National Flood Insurance Program is in danger of lapsing, which could leave families without necessary help if a disaster strikes, and we are in the middle of hurricane season. Critical services offered at Social Security field offices are reduced for senior citizens and disabled Americans. Helpful transition assistance programs are not being provided for veterans who fought to defend our country and are now trying to re-enter civilian life.
All of this is because of your feckless and weak administration that is betraying Americans, by the way.
The economic consequences of this shutdown are piling up every day. Policymakers, markets, and even the Federal Reserve are flying blind at a key juncture because BLS and BEA data are on hold until the government reopens. Democrats shutting down the federal government to give health care to illegal aliens could lead to lower growth and higher unemployment rates for Americans. According to a new memo from the Council of Economic Advisors, the U.S. economy could lose $15 billion of growth domestic product each week. Every single week, the Democrat shutdown extends with
The Democrat shutdown, even though we control Congress, Senate, presidency, Supreme Court, we control the streets because we have ICE agents running amok. We have the National Guard being deployed in American cities because there's a war apparently going on against American civilians. But it's the Democrat shutdown. It's always the Democrats.
a month-long shutdown leading to an additional 43,000 unemployed people. Small businesses are likely to encounter delays in receiving federal loans. Mortgage applications will likely shrink. And just this morning, Business Roundtable, an association of more than 200 CEOs of Americans' leading companies representing every sector of the U.S. economy, put out a statement urging Congress to pass the clean CR that will once again come before them in the Senate floor in just a few moments. Quote, a fully functioning government is essential for American businesses, workers, and consumers, while policymakers continue working on a full-year funding package and other pressing issues. Again, that is a quote from the Business Roundtable. What's clear is that the Democrats' actions account to an intentional sabotage of our country and our people by shutting down our government. This madness must end. President Trump and Republicans are calling on Democrats to reopen the government immediately on behalf of the American public.
Oh, you would love that, wouldn't you, if we reopen the government immediately so that you can get health care cut from Americans immediately. But the one thing that you wouldn't want to happen is for Adelita Grijalva, the new Democrat who just won the special election in Arizona, to help force a release of the Epstein files. So it is kind of a win-win at this point for Democrats. If they continue to hold strong, Republicans continue to destroy the country and it looks bad. And if Democrats finally negotiate or find some kind of deal, maybe they help save healthcare, and it'll be time to force a vote on releasing the Epstein files, which is another example of how Donald Trump is underwater, even among his own supporters. If the election happened again today, Kamala Harris would win in a landslide. And by the way, I am not a diehard Kamala Harris supporter by any means necessary, but she would mop the floor with Trump if the election happened again today.
All we need are 5 Democrat senators to do the right thing and to stop this shutdown. Call your Democrat senator and tell them to vote yes to reopen the government. On another matter, despite the Democrat shutdown, President Trump's efforts to make America safe again continue. President Trump believes that American cities should be the safest places on earth, and he is committed to making this a reality.
If President Trump believes that American cities should be the safest place on earth, then why is he going into American cities just throwing people onto the ground, chucking them into vans, making people just scared to go about their day? Why is he making American cities less affordable, which is only going to increase crime further? It's making American cities less desirable to live in by just ruining the atmosphere of our country in all regards. I really just can go on and on about every single reason why American cities become less safe under this administration. Oh, mind you, what about free speech crackdowns and how anti-Semitism and Islamophobia are both on the rise in big American cities because of Donald Trump's unwavering support of Israel's genocide in Gaza. That's the #1 contributing factor to anti-Semitism right now and Islamophobia. Another reason why Donald Trump has made Americans less safe. Do you feel safer? Let me know in the chat right now if you feel safer. And yes, I will turn her up a little bit. Thank you for letting me know. You need to hear her a little bit better.
We've already seen that President Trump successfully made D.C. safe again in only a few weeks. That same crime crackdown will continue to happen in cities across the country and is happening in Portland, Oregon. President Trump will end the radical left's reign of terror in Portland once and for all. The president has directed Secretary Hegseth to provide all necessary troops to protect war-ravaged Portland and any ICE facilities under siege from attack by Antifa and other left-wing domestic terrorists. What's been allowed to happen in Portland, and we saw disturbing video footage of this last night. This is not peaceful protesting. This is left-wing anarchy that has been destroying this great American city for years, leaving police officers battered, citizens terrorized, and business properties damaged. Since early June alone, Antifa terrorists have laid siege to the ICE field office in South Portland. These radical left-wing lunatics have violently breached the ICE facility by using a stop sign as a battering ram, hurled explosives and other projectiles at law enforcement, repeatedly assault and dox officers, berate their law-abiding neighbors, and have even rolled out a guillotine in front of the ICE facility.
A guillotine, huh? That sounds a lot like those people who had a guillotine at the United States Capitol, the people's capital. Guillotine for Mike Pence, who I am no fan of either, by the way. Weren't your supporters the ones who built that guillotine and they were chanting to hang the vice president? Isn't there a little bit more violence on the political right than there is truly on the political left? And by the way, fuck ICE. Fuck ICE.
And more people should be reporting on that. President Trump has sent federal law enforcement to protect federal assets and arrest those fueling this violence. Just last night, we saw an extremely troubling incident where conservative journalist Nick Sorter was captured on video being taken into custody by the Portland police after he...
By the way, I'm Antifa, just so everybody knows. If you're watching this, you should be aware. I should start saying this at the top of my broadcast. I am Antifa. So if you're watching this, you could be arrested by association with me. I am Antifa. You want to see my membership card? Here, let me pull it out for you real quick. Here's my membership card. That's for Donald Trump.
Was ambushed by Antifa and was defending himself from these assaults. But instead of arresting these violent mob members night after night after night who are ravaging this community, the police arrest...
Night after night after night, I sleep with my old man husband and wonder why Donald Trump is so handsome night after night after night.
...a journalist who was there trying to document the chaos, and everyone in this room should be extremely concerned about that. The Department of Justice spoke with that journalist this morning, and they will be launching a full investigation into his arrest. This incident is part of a troubling trend in Portland where left-wing mobs believe they get to decide who can visit and live in their city.
Does anybody know how to join a left-wing mob? I keep hearing about these left-wing mobs, and if there was one, I'd really want to be a part of it because our country is literally becoming a fascist state. And we could use some more left-wing mobs to organize, protect people, maybe save immigrants who are being unlawfully detained. So if anybody knows of a left-wing mob, please email me. My email is in the description because I would love to join. I think everybody should create more left-wing mobs. That's really what we need right now. But whatever Caroline Leavitt's talking about, it's made up.
It is not their city. It is the American people's city, and President Trump is going to...
I agree,
restore that.
Tish. It's
I
pathetic.
just spoke with the president about this, and he has directed his team here at the White House to begin reviewing aid that can potentially be cut in Portland. We will not fund states that allow anarchy. There will also be an additional surge of federal resources to Portland immediately, including enhanced CBP and ICE resources. Law and order will prevail, and President Trump will make sure of it. With that, I'll take your questions, and we will begin today's briefing with our new media seat, Amanda Head from Just the News. Amanda, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Caroline. On that most recent topic that you mentioned, reportedly Portland police have not been able to engage protesters to the degree that they normally would. Does the president plan on handling this from that angle of city leaders?
Yes. From our understanding, the law enforcement that we have here in the Homeland Security Task Force, I spoke with them this morning, and what they're seeing is that unfortunately, local police has been restricted from responding or cooperating at all with federal authorities, which is completely absurd. We have surged federal law enforcement personnel to this city to restore law and order and to work alongside local law enforcement. And we've seen the benefits of this in Washington, D.C., and all of you live here, so you can agree Washington, D.C. is and feels much safer because of the cooperation between federal and local law enforcement. They can and must be working together, And we think it's despicable that these local elected officials who swear an oath to protect their people are preventing law enforcement from doing their jobs on the ground. So that's why the president has directed his team here at the White House, and they are already on it to look into how we can cut funds. And the president wants to work with anyone. If the mayor of
I heard there's a war zone going on in Portland right now. I heard there's a matcha shortage, and I heard that it's raining, and it's getting really rainy now that fall is coming, and people have to shelter indoors and go find a Pilates class to take. It's getting really bad in Portland, folks.
Portland were to call him right now and say, Mr. President, please help us, I am sure the president would be willing to do that. He is genuinely serious about wanting to restore order in America's cities. But it's become apparent that the local and elected officials in Oregon do not feel the same. And that's very unfortunate for the people who live there.
By the way, to the 100 plus people on TikTok right now, come join on YouTube. Link is in my bio, or search Josh the Progressive on YouTube. I'm only going to leave this new TikTok broadcast up for Caroline Leavitt's press conference. And after that, I will be on YouTube exclusively where you can actually see what we're watching. So like I said, Josh the Progressive on YouTube, or just search the link in my bio. And let me know in the YouTube chat that you came from TikTok, and everybody's going to welcome you. Aren't we going to do that, everybody on YouTube? We're going to let people feel welcome and excited to be here as we get underway listening to this neo-Nazi Caroline Leavitt try to destroy our country.
And then one more question on the government shutdown. Should there be some type of scheduled layoffs to maybe entice Democrats to come to the table, like every hour another agency, another 100 pink slips? I'm sure Russ Vought has a list of folks ready to go.
Well, look,
another question from a reporter that is not even a question. It's just people suggesting things to this administration. They're like, hey, you should have like a scheduled layoff every hour. Like, this is a fun game. Like, oh, it's hour number 3. If the Democrats don't come back to the negotiating table, goodbye, everybody who works at the National Park Service. Oh no, if the Democrats keep trying to save your health care, we're going to fire everybody who's working in public education. Ooh, we have the power to destroy the country if you don't let us destroy the country like we're already doing.
The Office of Management and Budget, as we've said repeatedly, is working with the agencies and our cabinet secretaries to identify where cuts unfortunately can and have to be made. And again, we understand there's another vote happening on the Senate floor in an hour. Maybe if Democrats do the right thing, this government shutdown can be over. Our troops can get paid again. We can go back to doing the business of the American people. But if this shutdown continues, as we've said, layoffs are an unfortunate consequence of that. And Russ Vought has been in contact with our cabinet secretaries at their respective agencies to discuss that. Thank you, Amanda. Kelly.
How would this administration define what makes a Democrat agency, which agencies, and what constitutes being a Democrat agency?
I think this administration has been very clear, Kelly, that we're not going to tolerate waste, fraud, and abuse in our government.
Oh my God, she's back with the waste, fraud, and abuse. Remember that nonsense? Remember Doge? How successful was Doge? They barely trimmed any fat off the debt before Donald Trump added nearly $4 trillion to our national deficit. The bill that literally got Elon Musk to quit the government, called Trump an Epstein pedophile, and essentially showed that the entire Doge effort was a fraud. It did nothing. They actually left waste behind. They left their offices completely destroyed with junk everywhere. They never went after waste, fraud, and abuse. They just went after every program that they felt was misaligned with MAGA, and they called those programs waste, fraud, and abuse. Welcome from TikTok, by the way, Teresa. Welcome everybody who's come to YouTube from TikTok. Thank you for doing that. Josh the Progressive on YouTube as we continue watching Caroline Leavitt, this absolute thug masquerading as our press secretary.
And we've also been very clear to point out when agencies or when programs do not align with this administration's values of putting our country first. You've seen that with USAID and in various other cases where there's been cuts made or funding has been slashed. And so, again, unfortunately, we're having to do a massive review of the bureaucracy to be good stewards of the American taxpayer dollar. And it's the Democrats who have forced the White House and the president into this position by voting to shut the government down.
You've talked about thousands likely layoffs coming. Do you have an update on the timeline for that? How quickly? And if the government is restored to funding and back in operation, will that list of potential layoffs still be on the table?
Look, as I just stated, the Office of Management and Budget is in constant communication and contact right now with our cabinet secretaries and agencies across the board to identify, unfortunately, where layoffs have to be made.
Somebody in my YouTube chat says, I'm waiting for my Doge checks. I'm still waiting. One day it'll come. Yeah, you're supposed to get a Doge check. You're also apparently supposed to get a tariff check, right? Remember, Trump says, oh, we're going to get rebates from the tariffs. And literally not even a week ago, he said, I'm going to give our farmers money from the tariffs. Wrong. That's not happening. Keep stringing people along. Keep fucking people over. Excuse my French. But seriously, like, people are getting screwed over and people are losing money. And we have a system that's broken and it's being exploited by Donald Trump and by rich assholes like Caroline Leavitt who don't care about the fact that you're struggling. She's just here to collect her paycheck and hopefully not live a disgraced life, which she will, because when we take back power, she's going to prison.
And where cuts have to happen. But again, the Democrats haven't.
And why would Caroline Leavitt go to prison, you may ask? For being a traitor to our country. She belongs in prison for spreading harmful information that is literally causing people to lose money and lose their lives.
An opportunity to prevent this if they vote to reopen the government. That is all this administration and the president is asking for. Vote for a clean continuing resolution to keep the government open. Peter.
Thank you, Caroline. During the campaign.
Thank you, Peter.
Here's Peter Dookie. Peter Dookie has a question. He's going to try and be all cute and funny because he actually wants to sleep with Caroline too. But let's listen to Peter Dookie.
I was raised to say thank you in the White House briefing room.
I was raised to say thank you in the White House briefing room. Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Caroline Leavitt. I'm such a good boy. My name's Peter Dookie.
The campaign, President Trump said that he did not know anything about Project 2025. Now he knows about it. Is that the blueprint for shrinking the government?
Look, the blueprint is what the president and his team and his cabinet secretaries ultimately decide. And the president trusts his cabinet secretaries to identify where there is waste, fraud, and abuse. We pointed out this morning, or Russ Vought tweeted about this morning, a Chicago rail project that was canceled. We paused $2.1 billion in Chicago infrastructure projects, specifically the Red Line extension and the...
I just made a video about this. Trump, once again, fucking over Americans. People in Chicago looking forward to having $2 billion worth of funding to expand their public transit, to help get people to work, to help people commute, to help people contribute to the economy. Wrong, gone, out. Donald Trump says, Americans, I don't care about you. If you're in a blue city, I don't represent you. Trump says, I hate my enemy. He said at Charlie Kirk's memorial, oh, Erica Kirk and I have some disagreements because I hate my enemy and I don't wish them well. Well, clearly, if you voted for Donald Trump and you live in Chicago, you played yourself. You played yourself because there goes that red line extension. Now you're not going to be able to commute to the south side. Now you're not going to be able to get up further north. Wrong. Red line. Canceled. You're just going to have to work within the same loop.
Red and purple modernization projects. And it's because the administration is concerned that the Biden administration was handing out taxpayer dollars to pay for this construction based on DEI. DOT is reviewing.
How is building railroads based on DEI? How is expanding public transit based on DEI? That is such blasphemy. That is clearly this administration treating your intelligence like a joke. They're like, oh, why don't we just say that the rail projects were DEI and that's how we can cancel them? Please, people, please call a friend who believes this nonsense and ask them seriously, are you okay with this? Do you appreciate what they're doing? Do you believe the fact that DEI is the reason why these rail projects can't continue? How can DEI even be involved in this? Oh, somebody working at Chicago Transit was black? Wow, whoop-de-doo. Oh my God, there's a woman involved? A lesbian? Oh my God, it's trans? Ooh, how terrifying. Oh my God, a trans person. So scary. Wrong. These people are just trying to screw over Chicago and they're just coming up with any buzzword, any type of excuse for that.
The race-based contracting on unconstitutional grounds, and in the meantime, the Department of Transportation funds for these projects are on hold. So I guess this answers both of your questions. This would be an example of that.
And just because there's so much shutdown talk, something different. What do you guys think about the NFL's decision to name Bad Bunny as the Super Bowl halftime performer, somebody who has not scheduled shows in the U.S. because he says that he's worried that ICE is going to come and arrest his fans?
Well, look, I know there are many in this room who are very anxious to hear the president's response to Bad Bunny being the halftime show, so I won't get ahead of him. I won't reveal what he feels about this. Next time you all ask him a question, you're welcome to do that. I have my own feelings on that, but that's not what I'm up here to talk about. As far as ICE being a...
What a triggered little baby. What a little crybaby. They say, oh, the left, they're snowflakes. The liberals are so triggered. They're so soft. They're soy boys. You're like, oh my God, Bad Bunny's going to perform? I have my own feelings about that. I can't believe a Spanish person's going to perform. I can't believe somebody who's brown is going to perform at the Super Bowl. I thought that football was supposed to be American. It was supposed to be about country music. What? Since when is that a thing? And by the way, Bad Bunny, he's American. He's Puerto Rican. Okay? And yeah, he should absolutely be concerned about ICE arresting his fans because ICE is arresting American citizens.
The Super Bowl, as far as I'm aware, there's no tangible plan for that in store right now. However, of course, this administration is always going to arrest and deport illegal immigrants when we find them. If they are criminals, we're going to do the right thing by our country.
If they are criminals, aka we don't really care if they're criminals, actually. We're just going to arrest anybody we feel like, and we're going to call them criminals. And we don't want Bad Bunny singing because we don't like the fact that he's critical of our government.
Kate.
Did the president and Russ Vought decide yesterday in their meeting which cuts they wanted to make to agencies and which ones would be permanent?
Again, I've kind of answered this question a few different times now. It's been asked in a few different ways. Their discussions continue between the Office of Management and Budget and cabinet agencies across the board, and they are actively identifying where these cuts and these layoffs have to be made as this government shutdown hopefully does not continue.
And on Hamas, the president said that if Hamas rejects the proposal that Netanyahu would have his full backing to finish the job. A UN report found that Israel was committing genocide in Gaza. Does the president have concerns about the civilians being killed, the worsening humanitarian crisis, and are there limits to what the White House would support when it comes to Israel's actions in Gaza?
Look, the president has deep concerns about all of the atrocities that have taken place in the Middle East over the past few years. It's deeply unfortunate that he inherited this mess from the Biden administration. If you all recall, under President Trump in his first term...
How many years do you think they're going to keep talking about Biden? It's going to be like 2042 and Don Jr. or Barron Trump, one of those two, they're going to be president and they're going to say, what's happening right now with the rise of AI replacing more American jobs, it's because of the Biden administration back in 2023. Oh, this is all because of Kamala Harris and the Biden administration. And look, yes, Biden administration, they contributed to this genocide that's happening. However, Caroline Levitt, what a bullshit non-answer. She's like, oh, Trump is deeply concerned about all the atrocities that have been committed over the past several years. Wrong. You are literally posting on social media saying Hamas has till Sunday, otherwise their entire Gaza Strip will be completely obliterated. He's saying that he's going to eviscerate the rest of the population if they don't agree to the deal by Sunday. By the way, what is this, like the 10th time that Donald Trump said he's going to have Hamas has to come to a deal, and if they don't come to a deal by this day, all hell is going to break loose? He said that, what, about 10 times? Nobody takes Trump seriously. And Hamas, you know, say what you will about Hamas, they don't need to listen to Donald Trump because Trump is saying, if you don't make a deal, we're going to destroy you. Well, you're already bombing everybody in the region, so there's nothing else you can do to punish them even harder. Like, you're doing the same thing regardless. You're not changing course. Like, it's the same plan regardless. So Hamas is probably thinking, why do we even have to listen to Donald Trump? He's either bullshitting us again, there's no real deal, or they're just going to continue slaughtering us anyway, so what's the point?
The Middle East was on a pathway for peace and prosperity. There was the historic signing of the Abraham Accords. Israel is on a path to normalization between Arab and Gulf nations, and we hope that can continue. But right now, the president has made it very clear to Hamas that this is an acceptable and detailed proposal that they must accept, or the consequences are going to be very grave for them. And he has given them a deadline of Sunday evening at 6 p.m. When I was out here on Wednesday, I told all of you I'll leave it to the president to make that red line, and he now has. I think the entire world should hear the president of the United States loud and clear. And Hamas has an opportunity to accept this plan and to move forward in a peaceful and prosperous manner in the region. And if they don't, the consequences, unfortunately, are going to be very tragic. Michael.
Thank you, Caroline. Has the president declared war on international drug cartels? And if so, or if he will, does he feel he needs congressional approval?
Remember the No New Wars shtick that they try to tell us? Well, Carolyn Levitt's about to say, oh, Donald Trump hasn't declared war. Let's listen.
As the White House has said many times, the president has directed these actions, these strikes against Venezuelan drug cartels and these boats, consistent with his responsibility to protect the United States interests abroad and in furtherance of the U.S. national security and foreign policy interests. This is pursuant to his constitutional authority as commander-in-chief and the chief executive to conduct foreign relations. In each of these cases, Michael, the vessels have been assessed by the U.S. intelligence community to be affiliated with designated terrorist organizations engaged at the time in trafficking illicit drugs to our country. The president has been very clear, dating back to the campaign trail, that he is always going to do what's in the best interest of the American people.
Hakeem Jeffries has said that President Trump is in the Presidential Witness Protection Program since the shutdown has begun. What's the White House's reaction to that?
That's just more ridiculous fodder from Hakeem Jeffries. As you all know, because you're here every day, the president is literally working around the clock right now. I think he has a swearing-in ceremony, or he already did. He has several meetings on the books today. He literally works 24/7. Anyone who works in this place or covers this place, as you all do, knows that to be true. And Hakeem Jeffries and the Senate Democrats should get back to work in a few minutes and vote to reopen the government.
By the way, they just didn't. They failed to do that. And it's a good thing. I think the Democrats are starting to hold strong. The government failed to reopen. That was breaking news just a minute ago. And in a minute, I'm going to record that and break that to my audience too.
Emily.
Thank you, Caroline. You spoke earlier about the energy and infrastructure projects that Director Vogt paused. Will the White House agree to restore that funding as part of the deal to end the shutdown?
Well, I won't make any agreements here. Senate Republicans are talking with their colleagues on the Democrat side, but right now, Russ Vought is doing what he's been tasked to do in the midst of this government shutdown, which is to look at funds that need to be temporarily halted or need to be canceled. And Chicago is just another example of that.
Caroline.
Go to Libby in the back.
Thank you, Caroline. I have two questions for you. One on the FDA, but first on the shutdown.
Sure.
Will the administration, if this government shutdown ends, still move forward with firing thousands of federal workers?
Look, as I've said repeatedly, Libby, right now we want the government to be open. Layoffs are an unfortunate consequence of a government shutdown, and it's something the administration is examining. If the government is reopened, we're going to get back to doing what we were doing last week and the week before, working on the issues that the American people care about.
And then on the FDA, they just approved that new abortion pill, and it's causing a lot of uproar among the Republicans. What is the president's response to that? And
Caroline Levitt does not like the A word. She does not like to hear about abortion. That does not align with the cross that is on her neck.
does the administration plan to have that FDA approval?
Well, the Secretary of Health and Human Services, Bobby Kennedy, has put out several statements on this. The HHS's decision, it's not an endorsement of this drug by any means. They are just simply following the law. And as they put out in their statement, by law, the Secretary of Health and Human Services must approve a generic drug application if the application demonstrates the generic drug is the, quote, same as the brand name drug. Generic applicants are not required to submit independent evidence proving safety and effectiveness. As such, FDA's decision to approve a second generic version does not address the merits of the current safety program. HHS is reviewing adverse effects to ensure that FDA's required safety program for the drug is sufficient to protect women. This safety review equally applies to generic versions of this drug. So FDA...
Can somebody explain that to me in my comments, by the way? Why in our society do we have generic versions of things that are just the exact same thing as something with a name, but it's slightly cheaper? What is the point of that? Is that just another example of how our capitalist society makes absolutely no sense? And by the way, our society is designed so that competition is supposed to be, oh, like I make lemonade and I make lemonade better than you, so you should come do my lemonade. When in reality, the way it has panned out is, oh, I dilute my lemonade as much as possible to maximize profits. Oh, and my lemonade is just straight piss, right? Capitalism is not functioning properly and it's not working for people. The discrepancy in wages in this country is out of control. That is why you see California Governor Gavin Newsom calling Trump Marie Antoinette. Like, we literally have another French Revolution brewing because people at some point are going to be fed up. And honestly, it's going to become my job as somebody who has organized a community to say, you know what, we need to have general strikes. We need to have a national day of noncompliance. We need to stop sending our money to the federal government because what are we doing here? People in the American Revolution rioted for much less. They didn't like the fact that they were being taxed on tea, and they didn't like the fact that they were being represented by a king. Well, we have a much bigger problem on our hands now. We are dealing with the same type of no taxation without representation. This government doesn't represent us at all. They're telling us what's best for us instead of us telling them what we need. And sooner or later, we need to act. I mean, we really need to act now. But what I'm saying is that realization is coming. It's going to require planning.
HHS are following the law. It's, again, not an endorsement of the drug itself. Mary.
Thanks, Kelly. 2 questions on the shutdown. You've argued that these impending layoffs are necessary to keep essential services up and running, but that has never been the case in any previous shutdown. You know, when the government was shut down for 35 days in Trump's first term, you've never had to lay off thousands of workers to keep essential services up and running. So why are layoffs now necessary in this shutdown?
Because we have an administration and we have a president who are wholeheartedly focused on restoring fiscal sanity to our government and doing the right thing by the American taxpayer. We are $37 trillion in debt, and the federal government is currently shut down. There is no more.
You added to that debt. You added to that debt with enormous debt from the big, beautiful bill.
More money coming into the federal government's coffers. And as you've also seen since the beginning, in January, this administration is focusing on waste, fraud, and abuse. And so Democrats have given this administration an unenviable choice to have to take a look at the balance sheet and identify where these cuts and layoffs can be made.
And you just said this is an unenviable choice, that this is an unfortunate consequence, but the president has described this as an unprecedented opportunity to lay off additional workers. He's posted a video likening Russ Vought to the Grim Reaper. So which is this? Is this an opportunity to fire more workers or an unfortunate consequence?
Look, the president likes to have a little fun every now and then, and I think both things can be.
Oh, everything that the president does wrong, he just likes to have a little bit of fun. He's just having fun posting Russ Vought as the Grim Reaper, which I'll show you in a little bit, by the way. Trump posted this AI video of the Project 2025 Nazi going around Democratic establishments, being the Grim Reaper, essentially just firing people, even though it's honestly violent rhetoric. He's like threatening their lives. He's the Grim Reaper. And that's just another thing that the president posted. But the president's just having fun. He's just having fun. Everything's just fun. It's all like a big joke to this president.
Be true at the same time. The Democrats have.
Do you like the fact that the president is having fun and he's kidding around and joking while people are struggling to afford groceries? Do you like the fact that the president is having fun, golfing, posting memes while you can't afford health insurance and while American troops are being sent to Venezuela? Then don't vote MAGA.
Given the administration this opportunity, and we don't like laying people off. Nobody takes joy in that around here, and if you think that, then I think that's very sad. You view the White House and our staff as wanting to put people out of work. Nobody wants to do that, but sometimes in government you have to make tough decisions. Carrie.
Going back to Portland, as far as the city council there is concerned, they appear to be very sympathetic towards the protesters over at the ICE facility. Is the White House considering invoking the Insurrection Act over in Portland? Is that something they are considering also? As far as the Portland City Council is concerned, are they looking at the members there who are appear to be helping out the protesters as far as suggesting to get burner phones, et cetera, et cetera?
That's not something I've heard that's under consideration or discussion at this time. Caroline, is everybody yelling in the back? Go ahead.
Me? Sure. Thank you. Bianca Gracia here, and I have a question. This week, the Democrats have chosen illegals over hard-working Hispanic Americans. during Hispanic Heritage Month, causing the White House to cancel the celebration with the president. Is the president open to letting the Hispanics who overwhelm?
Who is yelling right now? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Read a book. Read a book before you try contributing to American politics again, because clearly you have no idea what you're talking about. Democrats want to prioritize illegal aliens instead of his hardworking Hispanic American citizens. What a joke. What a joke. You are brainwashed, lady. You are brainwashed by this cult member here.
Voted for him. Have their own siesta fiesta in the White House lawn opposed to the fancy, we don't need fancy smancy, right? You can give us the backyard and we'll fill it all in and have in our own
What is your question?
fiesta. Is the president open to that?
I had no idea she was going to ask that question. I just want to preface that.
Okay, whoa. What a weird admission, too. I have no idea she was going to ask that question. So you know all the questions that are coming. Is that so? You know what questions the new media is going to ask. You know what questions MAGA reporters are going to ask. It's all prearranged, but this question you had no idea she was going to ask.
I've never met you. I just want to say that, but welcome to the briefing room. I love your energy. I can't personally unilaterally promise the South Lawn grounds. We have some construction going on out there, but I know that everyone here views it as very unfortunate we had to cancel or hopefully just reschedule the Hispanic American Heritage Month event, and it's because we are working around the clock during this government shutdown. When the Democrats vote to reopen the government, that event will be back in the planning stages. You're welcome. Brian, go ahead.
Very much. Welcome to the briefing room, by the way. I was with the Secretary of War and the Attorney General in Memphis just
This is Marjorie Taylor Greene's boy toy, by the way, Brian Glenn.
the other day as we were going to a command center. And I noticed a billboard along the highway that said, Memphis welcomes the National Guard. Now, what is your message today to Democrat mayors watching us right now that suffer from TDS and they cannot get Trump out of the way to saving their city, Portland being one of them?
They should do the right thing by their citizens, Brian. They should call the president, they should call the White House and say, we want to work with you. And in Memphis, we are seeing some cooperation. As you saw from that billboard, the people of Memphis are loving this, and they are very grateful for the federal government's efforts. And federal law enforcement is there. We're working alongside local law enforcement. We'd like to see it ramped up a little bit because we want to make progress and we want to arrest as many bad criminals as we can. Since Monday, I do have some updated statistics from the Homeland Security Council this morning. Since Monday, 153 arrests have been made in Memphis, including 5 gang members. 48 illegal guns have been seized, and 5 missing children have already been recovered. Last night, 60 arrests were made and 21 illegal firearms were seized. Arrests from last night include a suspect wanted for rape of a child under 13, first-degree murder, breaking and entering, aggravated assault, illegal drug possession, and many more. So we continue to see good results coming in through Memphis, and the president is very excited about making Memphis safe again. In the blue.
Thank you. At the top of the briefing, you made a statement about that the Democrats are interested in giving health care to illegal immigrants.
Yes, they are.
U.S. law already prohibits that. It's a 1996 law saying that they cannot give unauthorized immigrants any federally subsidized health care coverage through Medicaid, the Affordable Care Act, or the Children's Health Insurance Program. There seems to be a disconnect in the messaging.
Are you denying that Medicaid money has never gone to illegal aliens in the United States of America?
I'm asking you if you can explain the disconnect in the messaging.
I most certainly can. The Democrats' proposal, their continuing resolution, let me just reiterate, the Republicans' continuing resolution was a clean continuing resolution. There was no partisan politics injected into it. There were no conservative wish lists injected to it. What the Republicans want, and still want to this very second, is a clean continuing resolution to fund the United States government. What did the Democrats want in their continuing resolution? They inserted a provision to undo a provision in the Working Families Tax Cut, the One Big Beautiful Bill, that ended taxpayer-funded health care illegal benefits for illegal aliens. Democrats' proposal would require Medicaid to pay more for emergency care provided to illegal aliens than Medicaid does for American patients who are disabled, elderly, or children. And this bill would have also allowed California to continue a gimmick that funds its Medicaid for illegals program. Those are things that we ended, the Trump administration ended with the passage and the signage of the One Big Beautiful Bill. And it is an undisputed fact, a fact that under the Biden administration, illegal aliens were absolutely receiving taxpayer-funded healthcare benefits. In fact, in fiscal year 2024, Medicaid costs for emergency services for illegal immigrants skyrocketed by 142% from the previous year to $9.1 billion. That's $9.1 billion taxpayer dollars that were going to emergency services for illegals. Between President Trump's last full fiscal year under his first administration and Joe Biden's last full fiscal year, Medicaid spending on emergency services for illegal immigrants nearly tripled. There was an increase of 196% between 2020 and 2024. And I have a chart here for you, and I'm more than happy to email it to you. I'd also like to add, because some were asking dishonest questions yesterday about emergency rooms. In Southern California, according to healthcare professionals in 2023 under the Biden administration, Southern California's, quote, entire healthcare system was being bombarded with illegal immigrants and forcing American patients to endure longer wait times. In Denver, Colorado, the CEO of Denver Health stated that 8,000 illegal immigrants made 20,000 visits to the city's health system in 2023, leaving an uncompensated bill totaling over $10 million. So when a legal alien goes to the emergency room, who's paying for it? The American taxpayer. The main safety net hospital in Denver had to turn away patients due to the massive influx of illegal immigrants into the community. And UC Health Hospitals in 2024 reported their system was under stress from an increasing number of migrants.
She's just yapping about nonsense. She's just making up stories and trying to take specific examples of instances where non-citizens received emergency health care benefits as directed by state law, right? This is where she's talking about California state law, for example, and trying to make this into a whole thing. And by the way, you're the federal government. You're the federal government. So if you claim that the federal government is giving health care to illegals, isn't that you're doing? But that's the disconnect. That's not what's happening.
As a result, according to the head of emergency departments and urgent cares across the hospital system, quote, access is impeded for everyone. These are healthcare professionals who dealt with this directly, and there's a lot more where that came from. It is an undisputed fact that Democrats want to give taxpayer-funded healthcare benefits to illegal immigrants, period. Ed.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin. Is the president talking directly to Democratic senators to try and get their vote for a clean CR?
The Senate Republicans are speaking directly with moderate Democrats. I understand those conversations have become very serious, and we hope positive in the right direction so that Democrats will do the right thing.
I don't know if you saw overnight a refinery in California went up in flames. Is the president going to help the governor should gas prices spike, or could he help the governor?
Look, I know the administration and the White House are aware of that situation that took place. I don't have any announcements for you, Ed, on that.
Has the president seen the first draft of the commemorative coin that the Treasury is doing for the 250th anniversary? It has his face on it.
Oh, I'm not sure if he's seen it, but I'm sure he'll love it. Kara.
Thank you, Caroline.
Stupid questions.
It's now being reported that former President Biden's DHS and TSA placed peaceful January 6 protesters and even Americans who refused to wear masks during COVID onto watch lists usually reserved for terrorists. Most of these people were not charged with crimes. Does the White House have a comment on the prior administration violating the free speech and due process of these Americans? And where is the outreach from the left that claims to stand for due process and free speech? And after that, I have another question about protecting journalists from Antifa.
Sure. Well, Kara, to your first point, please send me that report.
And after, I have another question about protecting journalists from Antifa. Oh my God, it's us, the journalists, who are being called Antifa for merely trying to expose the corruption and lies of this administration. They're going to say that I'm Antifa for merely calling out the ways in which this administration is destroying the fabric of our society. We don't need to protect journalists from Antifa. Antifa, the last target of Antifa is journalists, right? Antifa needs journalists.
That's certainly very concerning. I haven't seen it myself, but if indeed that was happening, it's something I'm sure the Department of Justice and the FBI would deem worthy of looking into.
And journalists, as you mentioned earlier, are being increasingly attacked by leftist protesters.
The journalists are being attacked by this fascist administration that says all journalism is fake news unless we handpick and pre-approve the messaging that is coming out of these journalists, right? They literally say, oh, we want to control who's going to be in the White House press briefing room, which has never happened before, by the way. And anybody is allowed to be there as part of an independent approval process separate from the federal government. But Associated Press, they can't be there anymore because of their refusal to call the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. By the way, if you call it the Gulf of America, you're just a straight up Nazi. It's just another litmus test. It's the Gulf of Mexico. And that may have seemed silly when it happened, right? Like, oh, it's so silly. Like, what a distraction. Donald Trump is changing the name. But it was done specifically, as we saw, as a result, to find a way to kick some publications out of the press. So it's like they do these things that seem like distractions, and they're actually intended to get something like the Associated Press out of their hair.
She assaulted outside of President Trump's United Nations speech, and I think the White House is aware that a Portland journalist was almost blinded by an Antifa protester. This has been a problem that's gone on for years, and police often say that their hands are tied. Does the White House have a plan or plan on issuing a statement, maybe discouraging this violence against journalists out on the street like me and so many others in this room?
Well, I hope that my statement earlier in the brief.
Have you noticed that every single question that is asked in these briefings is pro-Trump, anti-America? That is how you know that this is like a North Korea level government we're dealing with. And at this point, like, it's kind of unfair to be comparing ourselves to North Korea when North Korea, they're not actively participating in a genocide. How many people has North Korea killed in the past several decades? Yeah, sure, North Korea is not a great country. They've got problems, but we're the ones murdering people, thousands every single week in Gaza. I know the United States directly is not killing them, but we are funding it, and we are allowing it to happen on our watch. North Korea is not doing that. And North Korea doesn't have these daily press briefings where reporters try to betray the American people and tell us what we see and hear is not true. Some real 1984 type shit going on here.
I think serve that purpose, but of course we condemn violence against anyone in this country, and journalists as well, who are exercising their First Amendment right. And there have been so many incredible independent journalists across the country who have gone undercover within Antifa and really have come to understand how this is a growing domestic terrorism.
You could go undercover with Antifa? That's pretty cool. I don't think that's true though, but that's a cool idea, cool imagination.
Threat inside of our country, and I would encourage maybe some of you in this room to get outside the Beltway and go do some of that undercover investigative reporting, because it is really incredible what they found. I met with one of them in my office yesterday, and they're doing very dangerous work in difficult circumstances, and Antifa is a very violent group, as you've experienced and that many others in the media have as well. Christian.
Yeah, thanks, Caroline. Following up on Libby, sort of on the other side of the abortion debate, has the president abandoned his campaign pledge to mandate insurance coverage for IVF services?
No.
Was there any update on that? We flew by that May EO deadline for the White House to produce a plan.
I literally just read a statement from the Health and Human Services on you, for Libby at least, as far as IVF goes. I'll check in with our policy team and we'll get you some updates.
Russia,
She didn't like that. She didn't like the fact that she just got exposed for failing another campaign promise.
concerned is the White House that the Russian Navy seems to be escalating its provocation of NATO allies. I'm talking, of course, to the several close calls they've had with the Danish military.
Hey, Caroline, how do you feel about the fact that Trump said he was going to end the war in Ukraine, and as a result of Trump's failure as president, Russia is plunging us into World War III because Russia sees Trump as a ineffective and traitorous leader, and he knows that he can play the United States and bait them into committing war with Russia.
During the EU leaders meeting in Copenhagen.
It's something the administration...
You remember that time? Does everybody remember that time when Donald Trump hosted Vladimir Putin in Alaska, spent millions of taxpayer dollars to roll out a red carpet and do a whole flyover, said that peace was on the way? When was that? Like over a month ago now? Did we get a peace deal from that? Somebody in the chat, let me know. Did we get a peace deal from that? Did Donald Trump deliver by putting Putin in the motorcade with him and calling Zelensky a dictator and saying that Zelensky has no cards, then having Putin come onto U.S. soil even though he's a war criminal and other countries would have arrested him on the spot?
Administration takes very seriously, and we are constantly monitoring it. The National Security Council here at the White House is in constant correspondence with our NATO allies, and the president speaks to many of them as well. Yes.
We've seen a spate of gun violence in this country, both mass shootings. We've seen this Michigan church that was attacked, children being shot in pews in Minnesota. We've also seen politically motivated assassinations of Minnesota lawmakers, Charlie Kirk. Has any of this made the president or the White House rethink gun safety prevention in this country? Either red flag laws, I know that that was a conversation in the first Trump administration, or is there anything on the table right now on gun violence?
Of course, this is an extremely pressing issue for the.
Of course, this is an issue that we have nothing to do with, and we're not going to do anything about it. And unfortunately, people are going to continue to die. But hey, you know, Trump posted some funny memes.
Administration in our entire country. It's deeply alarming to everyone here, the violence that we've seen taking place all over the country, the assassinations that have unfortunately, tragically taken place throughout the last several months. There are many discussions about how to prevent such violence and how we can ensure that law enforcement has the resources they can on the ground to not only respond, but again, to prevent such tragedies from taking place. If there are red flags with an individual in a community, that they are treated as an emergency, a public safety emergency, not just, you know, turn a blind eye to. There's many other things we can do, but the administration and the president has always also made it clear he's always going to protect the constitutional right, Second Amendment constitutional right of Americans to own guns.
Would you advocate for Congress to pass a federal red flag law? Right now, they just incentivize states financially to have red flag laws, but I know Lindsey Graham has worked on this as a Republican. There are some Republicans that do support this kind of gun safety legislation.
I don't want to get ahead of the president on any congressional action or any.
The president's not going to do anything to save you or your children, but we can continue to pray.
Suggestion to Congress on that matter. Andrew.
Thank you, Caroline. Two things. First, to follow up on something you said earlier about hospitals treating undocumented or illegal aliens. Is it the administration's position that hospitals should not have to treat people who come into the emergency department who are not here legally?
No, that's not our position. Our position is that it's completely unacceptable that the Biden administration paroled and encouraged an invasion of tens of millions of illegal aliens into our country and then promised them free health care. And the Democrats are on the record repeatedly stating that they believe illegal aliens should have health care benefits, free health care benefits in the United States of America. So that is a recipe for a disaster. Of course you're going to encourage a mass illegal invasion of our country, which is exactly what happened. And we've seen the unfortunate consequence of that, where American patients are being put last, where American patients are having to wait in wait rooms, where grandmothers and grandfathers are waiting hours and hours for care because they're being put behind the line to illegal aliens. And we don't agree with that. We don't support that. That's why the administration is desperately trying to fix it and deport the tens of millions of illegal aliens that the Democrats and the Biden administration allowed into our country. And we'd love to continue doing that work so long as the federal government is reopened. And there are many federal law enforcement agents and officers right now who are working without pay. That's unacceptable. The Democrats need to reopen the United States government, and we hope that they will do the right thing on the Senate floor in just a few moments. Thank you.
They didn't, by the way, and I'll make a video about that so everyone is aware. But that was the end of Caroline's disastrous press conference today. It does feel like it's becoming more rare for her to actually lash out at reporters because she is in control of what reporters are going to be in there, right? They're controlling the narrative. They are controlling the press. They're controlling the messaging. It's all part of their plan. Hey, while we take a moment here, thank you for watching, and we're not done yet. We're going to keep going. I've got more to talk about today, but I want you to know that my name is Josh Greene. This is the Progressive Pulse. I'm an independent political commentator. I have no corporate sponsorships, so if you want to support my show directly, you can do so by sending a super chat or a gift here in the YouTube chat. You can also become a member on YouTube or support me directly via Buy Me a Coffee. It's a website linked in my description where you can send $1, $2, $5, help support my show, help support the work that I do. But beyond that, the best thing you can do is just like this show by clicking the like button. Make sure you're subscribed. Click the bell to turn on post notifications. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, so you never miss my coverage of all things USA and around the world. We are going to now take a look at the AI video that Trump posted of the Grim Reaper. Russ, vote. going door to door, slashing Democrats. This is a disgusting video, extremely violent. Just another sign that the president is mentally unstable, and another sign that we are not dealing with a serious administration. Let me find it real quick. Where is this? Where did he post this? Bear with me, everybody. Great opportunity right now while we take this quick break to see what other social medias are in my description that you have not followed yet. Apparently, Kristi Noem was involved in an ICE raid at a Walmart in Chicago. I wonder when Kristi Noem raids with ICE, it's like that South Park episode where she tries to like fire her gun, and every time she shoots it, like another dog is murdered. Because remember, she murdered her puppy. That was something that she actually did. She shot her dog because she didn't like her dog anymore. So she murdered it, unfortunately. Trump must have deleted his video. That's interesting, but it's already leaked everywhere. But I want everybody to read his tweet that he put out about Hamas. Can everybody see that okay? Let me see. That's better. Awesome. Let me make this a little bit bigger for everybody. Sweet. He says, Hamas has been a ruthless and violent threat for many years in the Middle East. They have killed and made lives unbearably miserable. Let me record this real quick, actually, so people are aware. Bear with me. And you'll get another behind-the-scenes moment right here. Does everybody in the chat like these behind-the-scenes moments? Because sometimes it's good for me just to record and upload. Okay, here we go. Donald Trump just gave Hamas an ultimatum. He says they have until Sunday to accept his peace deal, which is hardly a peace deal. Otherwise, they will face total obliteration. Let me read for you what he said. He says, quote, Hamas has been a ruthless and violent threat for many years in the Middle East. They have killed and made lives made that wrong. I got an easier way to do this, actually. Copy that, and then I'll read the whole thing for everybody, too, so you'll get the entire piece of information, because there's more. This was a word salad from Trump. So let's listen to what the president said as I describe it for you, and everybody else will get to hear this online. What does he say? Sunday at 6 p.m.? What does he say? Oh, wow. Donald Trump, the president of the United States, just gave Hamas another ultimatum, even though they never listened to him because nobody listens to Donald Trump. But listen to what he posted on social media. He says, Hamas has been a ruthless and violent threat for many years in the Middle East. They have unalived and made lives unbearably miserable, culminating in the October 7th massacre in Israel, babies, women, children, old people, and many young men and women, boys and girls getting ready to celebrate their future lives together. As retribution for the October 7th attack on civilization, more than 25,000 Hamas soldiers have already been killed. Most of the rest are surrounded and militarily trapped, just waiting for me to give the word go, for their lives to be quickly extinguished. As for the rest, we know where and who you are, and you will be hunted down and unalived. I am asking that all innocent Palestinians immediately leave this area of potentially great future death for safer parts of Gaza. Everyone will be well cared for by those who are waiting to help. Fortunately for Hamas, however, they will be given one last chance. Great, powerful, and very rich nations of the Middle East and the surrounding areas beyond, together with the United States of America, have agreed with Israel signing on to peace after 3,000 years in the Middle East. This deal also spares the lives of all remaining Hamas fighters. The details of the document are known to the world, and it is a great one for all. We will have peace in the Middle East one way or the other. The violence and bloodshed will stop. Release the hostages all of them, including the bodies of those who are dead. Now, an agreement must be reached with Hamas by Sunday evening at 6 p.m. Washington, D.C. time. Every country has signed on. If this last chance agreement is not reached, all hell, like no one has ever seen before, will break out against Hamas. There will be peace in the Middle East one way or the other. Thank you for your attention to this matter. That's a mouthful. Few things wrong with this statement, Mr. President. First of all, nobody can leave. You have them completely trapped there. Second of all, you've already given Hamas these ultimatums several times. They have nothing else to lose, as you are already obliterating the entire Palestinian population. What difference does your new threat even make? And by the way, even if they agree to your peace deal, you're still slaughtering this entire population. You're going to forcefully remove them from their homeland, and there will be no lasting peace. This is all for PR. This is just for you to try and trick your supporters into thinking that you are the peacemaker, even though you are actively fundraising a genocide and you are creating a famine that will forever go down in your name. Just had to say it like it is, folks. Cool. I'll post that real quick. But yeah, that's what he announced today. That's what Trump announced. Let me get some new breaking news coverage for you all too, so we can all see what's happening. So the Senate just failed to advance a bill that would prevent the shutdown. That just happened. This was.
To proceed to calendar 168.
This is coverage of Senate today.
An act making continuing appropriations and so forth and for other purposes signed by 17 senators.
Under the previous order, the mandatory quorum call under Rule 22 has been waived. The question is it the sense of the Senate that debate on the motion to proceed to H.R. 5371, an act making continuing appropriations and extensions for fiscal year 2026 and for other purposes shall be brought to a close upon reconsideration. The yeas and nays are mandatory under the rule. The clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Alsobrooks, Ms. Baldwin. Okay, you guys can go. No. I'm a no. You're a no, thank you. Bennett. I did get you, thank you. Thank you, I got you. Ms. Cantwell. Oh, no, I'm yes. Okay, Scott. Mr. Bozeman.
I want to see if we can see coverage of them voting on the
Mr. Budd.
shutdown. Here we go. Let's watch this.
The committee reported substitute amended to Senate Bill 1563 be agreed to, and the committee reported amendment for S 1316 be agreed to, that the committee reported substitute amendment for S 539 be withdrawn, and the Corden substitute amendment at the desk to S 539 be agreed to. Finally, that the bills as amended, if amended, be considered read a third time, passed in block, and that the motions to reconsider be considered made, laid upon the table, all in block. Mr. President, I rise to request unanimous consent here on the bills that were just mentioned to call up and pass this year's Police Week bills. These are bipartisan bills. These are common sense. And most importantly, particularly in light of recent events, and you can turn on the television right now and see what I'm talking about, they would give this chamber the chance to demonstrate its commitment to the men and women who wear the badge and to the laws they serve to protect. This is not a time to mince words or blur lines. This is a time to speak clearly with full moral force. In cities, law enforcement officers are beset from below and above. From below on our streets, they face an emboldened criminal element and a resurgence of organized political violence. From above, in the halls of power, they face a political class which seems hell-bent on undermining and attacking them at every turn. We have watched this unfold for years now. The press has smeared and defamed our police officers, seeking to incite hatred and violence against them. Fringe academic ideas about defunding police and shuttering prisons.
This guy's an idiotic moron.
Have moved from the classroom to the courtroom to the legislature and then to codified laws. Riots, lawsuits, slashed budgets, malicious lies blared through the largest megaphones in our country. Time and time again, the system has sided with the criminal over the cop, the looter over the law. The result of this system could be seen in unprecedented waves of violence that ravaged our cities in the wake of the George Floyd riots in 2020. It can still be seen today on the streets of cities overtaken by Antifa. These are not rhetorical or theoretical concerns. We watched it happen in real time. It is not the product of social conditions or inequity or systematic this or that. It is the inevitable result of a civilization that's lost its moral nerve. A civilization that is too racked by guilt to punish its criminals, to enforce its laws, or to confront its enemies, even when those enemies are beating police officers and firebombing federal buildings right before our eyes.
That's not happening.
When a government loses the ability or the will to defend its own cities, its own institutions, its own people, then it ceases to be a government worthy of its name. The path back to justice is simple. It requires laws like the ones we are going to consider here today. It requires protecting the people who protect us, like the bill to equip first responders with protective gear against fentanyl exposure, keeping them safe from the very poisons they're trying to fight. It requires ensuring that our police officers are healthy in body and in spirit, like the bill to reauthorize critical mental health services for cops and their families. Every single year, more police officers die by suicide than die in the line of duty. This is profoundly a policy failure.
All right, folks. We've been live for about 2 hours today, and I think we'll call it for today unless anything breaks later this afternoon. Just want to make sure that I have the opportunity to make some regular content as well. I'll be posting recaps of today's show so nobody can miss it. Hey, if you're new here, make sure you've subscribed so you're never going to miss another video again. I'll be live next week, maybe even this weekend, depending on how things go, but most likely on Monday. Pretty soon I'll be announcing an official schedule so that you'll know exactly when I'm live throughout the week. It'll likely be Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Thank you for being here today. If you want to support my work directly, you can do so via Buy Me a Coffee or becoming a member on YouTube. That helps contribute directly to me as a creator because, like I said, independent political commentator, no corporate sponsorships, no funding. I'm not selling out to anybody. My job is to help spread the truth to you and to those at home who are watching. If you want to follow me on other channels, I'm on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Substack. You can subscribe to my Substack to stay up to date on my newsletter. You can subscribe for free or become a paid subscriber there as well. And last thing I ask is please share this channel with a friend so more people are aware. Have a great day. Have a great weekend, everybody. Love seeing returning faces. Love seeing new people here. We're clearly growing. We're clearly doing something right. And pretty soon, Trump and the mainstream media, they're going to fear what we're doing because we're creating something organic and truthful. And that is really the goal. So thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Stay vigilant. Stay well. Fight the fascist Trump regime. Have a great week.